In the past couple of years, Asus has come out with a couple of different phones that have one major USP. One of those product lineups, one of those unique selling points of those phones was the battery life, hence giving the series the name of the Max. But as a product should get better every single year, something changed for the Max, and in my opinion the Zenfone 3 Max is really just isn't worth it, and you shouldn't buy it, especially in 2017. Now I'll explain why, but let's first do a full feature breakdown. Now this time around I'm really happy. Gone is the Fox plastic leather of the 2016 Max, and this time we have a gorgeous brushed aluminum unibottle metal design. It's slick, it's really comfortable to hold, and looks and feels really premium. And on the front you have this great 2.5D curved glass, so while using the phone, swiping between the app drawer and stalking a crush on Instagram, it feels really great to the touch. But unfortunately there's absolutely no kind of protection on the front, and it got very easily scratched up. I didn't put it in the same pocket as my keys or even put it on the table face down, but it still managed to score some scratches, which is just really disappointing for a phone that costs this much. Also, despite of the fact that I actually really like the fact that Asus has moved a step up and switched to a much more premium design, it's not really something new. You've got the camera module, the LED flash with the laser autofocus along with the fingerprint sensor on the back, and it's worked as it's supposed to. I would say it would recognize my finger around 7 or 10 times, which is actually pretty decent. It's a bit slow, but it works just fine. Now you've got the micro USB port to charge up the phone. Still sucks that they haven't upgraded to USB Type-C, especially at a time like this, but the headphone jack is still there, so that's pretty nice, I guess. One of the things that I actually do like though is the inclusion of a hybrid SIM slot, so you can either use 2 SIM cards or you can use 1 SIM card and a micro SD card to expand the internal 32 gigs of storage if that's not enough for you. On the front you've got a 1080p display and you have a pixel density of 401. The screen is sharp, viewing is also pretty great, but I wouldn't say that for the colors though. Now I like my colors a bit more punchy, a bit more vibrant, and I like the screen to be a little saturated. And even though most Asus phones come like this, I will usually jump into the Splendid application, one of their pre-installed applications on the phone, and shift the vibrancy level, something that isn't available on the phone anymore, especially considering the amount of crapware and useless applications that are available on this thing. Now it still runs on Android Marshmallow even after so many months of its release. There's absolutely no release date for Nougat, forget about Android O. Now inside the Max, at least this variant, is the Snapdragon 430 coupled with 3 GB of RAM, and for those of you guys who don't know, the 430 is an entry-level chipset, something that can be found on phones that cost less than half of its $270 price tag. And I really don't think that there's any phone that comes out these days that can't handle day-to-day usage along with some multitasking and some casual gaming without hiccups, and that's exactly the case here. And instead of having a 600 series chipset, having the 430 makes the 3 Max suck at a bigger and heavier titles, and it would also occasionally start to lag. The camera performance on this thing is also pretty decent for the Max. You've got a 16 and an 8 megapixel shooter on the back and the front, and the shots range between okay to decent, depending upon the lighting conditions, of course. There's a fair amount of noise in the shots, making them not as crisp, with mediocre dynamic range. The camera performance just falls short. Last year, the previous version of the Max featured a 5000 mAh battery, which Asus has now downgraded to 4100 mAh, which didn't last me 2 days or even a day and a half like its predecessor used to, but rather just a day, which is just plain out disappointing considering the phone still has the word Max in its name. Last year's Max kinda made it stand out with its 2-day battery life for the price it was being sold at, but Asus has somehow managed to screw up this lineup, with 3 Max being ridiculously overpriced, still running on Marshmallow, having a smaller 4100 mAh battery that defeats its USP. Asus has also given us 2 more Max units, a different model that costs around $150, and a 3S Max, making it more confusing for the people that might be in the phone for a quote-unquote Max phone. I honestly think the Zenfone 3 Max is an okay phone, and it's usable, but it doesn't have to be just usable for the kind of money anyone would be shedding out of their pockets. But that's just me. That's pretty much it, guys. That was my review for the Zenfone 3 Max. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. Tweet at me if you have any questions, if you have any queries, or if you just want to say hi. That has been it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Live long and prosper.